Lemon Amiga presents a Playguide video review. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi there, welcome to another edition of the Lemon Amiga Game Guides and Reviews. In this one we'll be taking a look at Did It Come From the Desert, developed by Nita Mitsuaki and released in 2014. The game begins with a deluxe paint title screen, and you can see removing that to see the background. We can see the guy has no trousers on, and we can also change a few of the options, including which level we wish to start. And there are 5 levels or 5 worlds split into a number of sections, and so let's begin with the first world and check this game out. Did It Come From the Desert is a Gloom clone, and just like Gloom we can press escape and tweak our video options. And choosing the dirty option makes sure that those enemies stick around after they get destroyed. And as you can see, this Gloom clone is set in an anthill, and Did It Come From the Desert is inspired by the game It Came From the Desert, of course by Cinemaware, which was inspired by all kinds of 1950s movies, which really did pit large monsters and creatures against mankind. In this case, it's more like Aliens, because we get a gun and we have to shoot all those guys, and we have to wade our way knee-deep in ants to get through each level. As with most Gloom games, you'll have to pick up that firepower as you go along, and starting the levels without that firepower is a disadvantage indeed. The screen is set up for MedRes interlaced, and you can see there are various cacti dotted around and a very nice texture on the floor, and I guess the red sky is kind of apocalyptic, but I guess this is definitely a basic game which is wrapped up with the sheer mechanics of taking on ants. But it also contains a quirky game device, because sometimes those ants will attack from behind, and so when you face something from ahead you have to keep turning around and finding what's attacking you from behind. You can see that's why I've lost most of my health, and health is very scarce in this game.
Yeah!
The surprise rear attack mechanic means that I've lost my first life of the 3 we are given, and I'm not sure whether we can pick up extra lives, and there is no score in this game. But what we have to do is to follow the line of dead bodies all the way through to where we lost our last life, and I think there are checkpoints, which means we don't have to wade all over the map. I don't think there is an in-game mapping option, so maybe a pencil and paper is handy to map this game out, and going back to the old ways of mapping a game so that you don't actually get lost. It's not easy to memorise some of these mazes, especially if you've only just played this game for the very first time, as I'm doing right now, without any warm-ups whatsoever. So you can see that this is a great fun Gloom clone if you want to be attacked by ants, and this Gloom hack I think is based on the Gloom 3 mods, which was Gloom 3 of course, and Gloom by Mark Sibley from New Zealand. So I think Mituaki has done yet another great job hacking Gloom to bits and creating another game for us, and it's not bad at all. On this first level, you can see the graphics are functional and they depend on your screen resolution and the power of your machine or emulation. So the graphics do get better, and this is not high res. So if you can access actual high res modes, maybe using an InDivision or ScanW device, well, the extra high res modes will really make this game wonderful if you have that processor to back it up. Like many games in this style, the enemies will attack, and the only thing you can do when they do attack is to run like heck. And you can see that we are moving through different landscapes, and we can even greet characters, which will take us on to the next level.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because I'm running this in high-res mode, the graphics have actually crashed, and no, this is not a trip, this is actually the game with crashed graphics. And so the game is still playable, but I think for this review, it's better to return to the normal graphics and check out another level. This is level 2 out of the 5, or world 2 perhaps. This is King's Canyon, where we will find a canyon and more ants. One big issue is that because we died and we lost that firepower upgrade, we're no longer on the second firepower, which means you might as well try the game all over again, because with the first firepower on these levels, it means you aren't really protected from a massive onslaught, and it means you have to run away most of the time. There is also no music in the game, and the sound effects sound a little bit weird. The blowing up of the ants doesn't sound too bad, with all the body parts clashing to the ground, but the sound of the actual firepower is incredibly weedy and sounds more like somebody bouncing on a trampoline rather than a gun firing a high velocity round into an ant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every item is guarded and every corridor is a trap, so you'll have to second guess the game's logic by working that out and always approaching goodies, returning, well, facing the front and backing onto those so that you can defend yourself when you are attacked. And that means that you stand a chance. Of course, moving forward all the time means that you cannot guard the rear, so you have to make sure that you have an escape route, otherwise you'll be running into more ants, and that means certain death. game is surprisingly difficult and we're almost out of health yet again, and when we do we'll lose the upgrades, which means the game is even harder, so it won't be long before we die. So let's check out that third mission, which is the gold mine, and again the gold mine is split into various sections, and when you complete one you'll move on to the other, and the gold mine, as you would expect, is an underground mine and reminds me of the CD32 X-Men game that we reviewed earlier this season. And of course it's the same creator who went on to create the CD32 X-Men game. So you will see that these are fairly reminiscent of the earlier levels, of course, the same enemies, although it is slightly less open world. It's also more of a sneak 'em up, and sometimes you have to hide behind corners to avoid attacks, and as soon as you hear those, you have to have an emergency backup plan and an exit route, because you'll be attacked from various angles all at the same time. At this stage, the ants don't fire back, and the lack of music and the sound effects basically means that it's a pad around all of these levels, which can get pretty creepy when you're just waiting for something to leap out and attack us from at least 3 out of the 4 directions. And you can see I'm rushing straight for the upgrade because I'm about to be attacked from the rear, and actually rushing through that guy saves energy.
I'll beat you.
The ants don't fire back, but the bosses certainly do, and you'll have to face a few large enemies in the game. But unfortunately, unlike CD32 X-Men, I've faced a number of crashes in the game, and that's why I'm skipping around various bits of footage, and that's why we are now moving on to the next stage. This is stage 4, and stage 4 is supposedly the Volcano, and you get some information before this, which is great, and we get a weapons upgrade as well. But you can see this is not a volcano. This looks more like a boot camp, or maybe a base camp, complete with urinals, of course, and devoid, it seems, of enemies. In the last mission of the game, we move forward to the headquarters, the ant headquarters itself, and here you'll find all kinds of bosses, not only ants, but things which will pose a significant threat. I think there is lots of fun on offer with this game, and it does have that atmosphere and some depth, so I think the creator did a good job, and it's worth trying this to have a bash. So thank you once again for viewing another play guide and review.